dear learners. Today we will discuss on the topic in specialized reporting. We will discuss unit number 5, reporting sports. Earlier session we have discussed various parts in the specialized reporting, means various beats in the specialized reporting like business, political, and health. All these were discussed in the previous session. Now it is the session for unit number 5, that is reporting for sports, reporting sports news. How to report sports news, what is curtain riser, how to we have to write curtain risers for sports events, what are the sources for the sports reporter to gather the information, mainly like various national, international academies, sports related academies. Those are the sources for the reporters, sports reporter, to reach, to collect the information. Now coming to the reporting sports. In the sports reporting, first, what is the priority? Why the sports is important as specialized beat in the newspapers or electronic media. There is, we see in the newspapers special pages for the sports. In Telugu newspaper before the COVID, there is a 2 or 3 pages were given to the entire full page is given to the sports. In English newspapers, the largest circulated are national English newspapers. They gives, before the COVID, they were gives at least 2 to 3 pages for the sports. Now, in Telugu newspapers, they are giving the half page. They are giving the half page and all reduce the pages, and now they are giving the only half page. But here we have to know the importance of a sports, because see, there is a specialized magazines related to the sports. So first one is, that is the importance. That is the importance why we require, why a newspaper or a magazine, why the sports beat is important. Nowadays we see in IPL matches, how crazy we have IPL matches. In now it is IPL matches running in various places in around the world, around the country. Sports is an important part of most societies. Readers of the sports pages of newspapers are generally the most knowledgeable and critically readers of all. What will be covered in the sports pages? Curtain raisers of sports events and day-to-day sports, what is happening in the country or in the all around the world. So those news items will publish in the newspapers. Those items will we listen, hear in the electronic media. sports journalism is one of the exciting fields in the media. Sports journalists generally what happens, sport journalists are known about for their writing skills. They have to increase the skills related to the sports because they have to be a normal person, normal journalist also who writes the sports news, but special sports news, they have to know the jargon words. They have to know the all kinds of the sports, how many players in a game, what is the, for example, over. This word mean in a general it is a different meaning. But in a cricket match, it is a meaning of a six balls. It's called over. So this is a common word. Generally, many of us know it. But even though these kind of various jargon words will come in the sports coverage, not only the cricket, various other sports, in a chess, in a soccer, in a hockey, everywhere there is some special words. So we have to know as a journalism, sports journalist, we have to know all these items. Readers of the sports pages of a newspaper are generally the most knowledgeable and critical readers because they already know, they are specialized. So in case if any word we have to we written wrong, we mean it a wrong meaning, it may be damage our writing and our newspaper also, our TV channel also. At times, their sports writings are compared to uh, literature. This is like a literature. Sports journalism focuses on reporting amateur because live matches we have to record it, we have to capture it, we have to write it, we have to give updates to the our media agency. They will, whether they are, that is a print media, whether that is a electronic media, we have to give up to date information. Maybe that is a social media or a digital media. So we must be well known of all the words related to the sports. If we are a sports person or a fan and would like to pursue journalism, read read on to find out what we can do as a sports journalist. Next, uh, this is also a true of a people listen to sports on a radio. Earlier, this is happened earlier. They listen radio commentary of a live matches, cricket or hockey or but now technology has been changed. Now everyone are watching on the mobile hotspot, Hotstar or various Geo or various platforms. They are giving the live sports. So many of the the percentage is now decreased listening on sports on radio. Sometimes we are riding car or we are traveling. Then what will be happens to you? Only the source is FM radio. There we will get the updates every 1 hour, half an hour updates. We will get the information about the sports. Why the sports are much important? Sports writers work to summon up the tightest deadlines in journalism and are they still expected to upload all the some professional, legal and ethical standards. So having that strong foundation of what it means to be a reporter is fundamental. Sports reporting could take a a journalist anywhere. The skills and knowledge for journalists are exactly the same as a sports journalist. In fact, according to various persons, various sports persons, some are even more relevant when writing about sports. Sports journalism is an active and also interactive, achievable option with a wide range of opinions for youth and sports followers to pursue. A strong interest is also an important point. Journalist, strong interest means in the area of a sport, appreciation of the subject of sports combined with an understanding of the need for a critical and analytical approach is indeed for a sports journalist besides one should have a strong resolution to make the future in a pride and without damaging the player's personal life. One should means journalist should work with integrity. This profession is full of challenges, but a journalist should combat the hardship with dignity and personal ethos. The component of sports reports, what will be in the sports? In the newspaper, we see every day that a general description, later one result box, sometimes tables on the scoreboard or points table, some critical analysis of the about the game. Columnist, they write the sports news. Opinionist, they write about the sports. Sports pages need to contain a great deal of information. To do the job well, you should try to cover all the all the areas like results, league tables, reports, etc. What will be covered in the results? In this is the most important part of any sports coverage. People will buy a newspaper or listen radio on a sports bulletin or see television for the sports just to find the results of the games in the sport. So you should try to carry the results of every sporting event which may interest some of your readers. Next one is tables. If the sports is organized in a competitive league, then each league's results will affect the league table. Nowadays, we are seeing in the everyday newspaper after, for example, in the IPL matches, there is a 2 IPL matches in every day. So every day evening there is a every day evening means in the next day of the newspaper. In the newspaper, we see the table of the various points gained by the sports team. So tables are important. A team which has one may move higher up the league table, while another team which has lost may slip down the league table. It is important to followers of any league to know as possible after the event This is earlier, there is in the newspapers we see only after 3 4 days only one table will come in case of a World Cup match, World Cup cricket World Cup, or any FIFA World Cup, or Hockey World Cup, or Olympics. We see the table once in a twice or thrice in a week, not every day. But now all newspapers, major newspapers are covering the table of a league match because now, for example, now the IPL, Indian Premier League, is ongoing. In the newspapers, there is a every day a table of points also displayed in the newspaper. Next, reports. Report of a match is a description of what happened, together with an analysis of why it happened. That is a clear report. Nowadays, we see in the various websites, Quick Buzz or Quick Info, ESPN, all those cricket related websites, they are giving the live ball to ball of report in their website. The sports reporter can often explain the way in which one team's tactics prevented the other team from playing well. In this way, the reader or listener comes to understand the sport better. There would not be room for a full report of every match in every sport. So less important events can have just the result published because the newspapers, that is depends on the space. There is a sports magazines, they give more space to the sports, so they focus on the every important point. Yeah, dear learners, there would not be here, however, it is possible to compromise and have a very short report followed by the full results. Even 2 or 3 sentences of a report of the week's matches followed by the results will make the people who support that league start work them. So that is why we have to give report also. Coming to the analysis or previews. This is a discussion of a sporting pictures which is about to take place, considering what is especially interesting about it and what is likely to influence the result. It is only for the big teams and big matches. Their fans will eitherly read or listen to anything that is written or broadcast about their team. People often identify strongly with the team which they support. Next, in this order, we have to know about the sports news. What is a sports news exactly? This may include two top players, changes in personnel, a player changing teams, a coach being sacked, a manager retiring, plans to build new facilities, a new sponsor, or other financial developments in the sport, any retirement announcement of the player, and administration changes, sponsorship changes, all will come under the umbrella of sports news. Sports reporters should be warned, though if you get a really a sports news story, it may well be taken away from you to be published on page one. Sometimes we see the important developments related to the sports we'll see in the page one also, not only the particularly of that page, sports page. So that is the importance in case of any scams, in case of any sometimes ago the doping test, sometimes ago the some scams. So those are published in the sports page, in the first page, sorry. Now coming to know about the sports features. Generally, we see sports features in magazines, special magazines related to the sports. There is a special magazines to particular sport also. Means for cricket, some special magazines, for hockey, for special, not only hockey, for the famous one is football. Football also is a special magazines for football and cricket. Sometimes tennis. These are the top level sports in all around the world. Coming to the sports feature, each one of the top sportsmen and sportsmen are a work of a feature. So we have to write about a sports person, that is one feature story. If we have to write about a new change in the sports, a new rule came in the sports, that is also one kind of a special feature. You can talk to them and about the sacrifice which they have to make to become so good, and the kind of a training schedule they have. So these kind of human interest angle. Here what will be happen? A human interest angle also here we are mentioning as a sports person. What kind of requirements required for a sports journalist? A sports journalist is required to have a complete awareness about media laws and regulations. This is a common for all journalists. No need to be, no one is an exception. But we are the journalists. We must know the various laws, regulations by the controlling authorities, by the government or by the courts. A sports journalist is required to have knowledge about writing, so that he or she can write down quickly. Because how to we have to catch the various events on live. Now there is with the development of technology, we have no need to write on our with using our pen. Just we have to record it. It will be converted into the in the text form. So we may use a good gadget, electronic gadget that will be help us to write the sports news or any other news in a comfortable way, easy, and that is the accuracy also is possible with the using of the electronic gadgets. So every journalist must have to use the electronic gadgets. Now electronic gadgets also coming means in economic within effective economic amount the electronic gadgets now available on the market. The sports journalist is required to have to complete knowledge about specific sport, its rules, its importance. A sports journalist is required to have knowledge and sports policy design, not only about the viewpoints, the demands of the sports fans, or venues, or schedules, history. We have to know the policies related to the sports. A sports journalist is required to have information about sports organizations, policy, framework, schedule of play, sporting topics involved in the in that match or the team. So all these we have to be known as a sports journalist. What will be happens here? It involves traveling, hence you should be able to consider is traveling to gather information about the venue, players' personal thoughts, the opinion of the experts, etc. They have to take interviews with the players, they have to take the interviews with the sports experts. You should be tactile in collecting this information, as we should be very much interested to include these things in is a report about the sporting event. The sports journalist is expected to write a critical analysis of the sports. Personal sports person is also likely to get writing analytical stories. Hence, several sports journalists try to uh, move the player organization by writing, reporting in a regular way, but journalism involves. Sometimes we see in a newspapers, some sports person, they become a columnist, they write regular columns to the sports pages, like Kapil Dev, Sunil Gavaskar, and many international players of the other countries. They write sports column in regularly to the a particular newspaper. Critical approach as well as a sports journalist should be knowing the loopholes of the team, like a lack of training or a lack of cohesive among the players, coaches, tussles with the players or sporting organization, which might have a negative effect of our performances. So sports journalist role is not only to write a sports news, simple sports news with the results or tables. This is nothing. They have to be critical analysis. They have to write about critical analysis in case it is required. They have to cover not only the events, they have to cover other policies, other interviews with the players or experts. A sports journalist carries a lot of good ethical messages and responsibility to has a country name, hence he should not be uh, biased, should be direct and not a what we call not a direct, because we have to give the information to encourage the team members, to give support to their team members to good in their team. There is some ethics related to the journalism, sports journalism. As a journalism students, we must know these ethics, not interfering the personal life of a player in without their prior permission. We have to take permission in case of a interview or if we have to give any information. So without their permission, we could not give the news about their family, their children, or other events related to them without their consent. So here is the point we have to remember, that the right to privacy. So here, as a sports journalist, we must be keeping this point in our mind. not criticize the player with vengeances, because every sports, see, many sports are a teamwork. So there is no particular, no special interest of that person, of that sports person. Sometimes we see in some news, we saw in case of that catch caught by some player, the match will be turned. So we will see we are not focusing, but just we are a little bit of analyzing. We are not targeting that particular player because that is a teamwork. Here, some sports, a single person sports means some table tennis with a single one to one. There we can mention it because there is the fall. In case if the person, the sports person who is not well, but this is only to confine with that sports event only. We could not here include their personal life. Not blaming this specific player for poor performance of the team, not giving extra focus on personal desires, food, and fashion details of the player, not pointing to the marital or other status of the player which would harm his performance. In case they permit, you can focus it. They only gives you, they invite, they only gives you the information, then you give it in the newspapers or electronic media. But other than that, without that, we could not have a right to violate the right to privacy of a sports person, a player, not using high psychophancy words for a selected player, not relating against any player through writings. So these are some journalism ethics we have to be keep it in our mind while writing the sports news. And there is some more points like not over focusing on any single player, not intervening in organizational matters, not forsaking ethical values for money, not taking sides with any team, must avoid unnecessarily targeting the other team, not discrimination and no bias in reporting, appreciation for sporting achievements, all these special points we have to be looking while writing this sports news. There is some challenges also in the sports journalism. In particular, what do you think that is there any challenge in the sports journalism? Do you think any challenge in the sports journalism? There is. The challenges sports journalists faces became greater with new technology being introduced all the time. It means like a journalism is being less relevant. Already we have discussed now we need not to write with a pen on a paper. Thus we have a electronic gadget, we can record it. Later we listen it and some applications available. They only type on the screen. Just listen the video or that voice. That application gives the text, writing text on the screen. But our duty is to whether our duty is to check it thoroughly, and we have to write it as in the form of news. What will be happens when someone is if something is happening other side? That is only conversation style. But here, as a journalism student, as a journalist, we have to write it as a news orientation, news style. Right? These days, Sports journalists are not only maintaining their positions in the field of the reporting, they are going above and behind the duties they originally signed on for. With journalism becoming as competitive as the sports being reported, journalists need to stay on top of their game 24 by 7, literally. See what is happening around the world. If in the in many major newspapers, in the part of journalism, again there is a separate beach for the journalists who are part in that team. One of journalists assigned to the cricket, one journalist assigned to the table tennis and hockey, one journalist assigned to the football. Like this kind of separation is also there in the sports, in big newspapers, major newspapers. So that is not happens for the small newspapers or the medium newspapers, but large scale newspapers. I am telling about the large scale newspapers. These days, journalists don't just go to a game or a press conference and report on who won. They need to be familiar with the players and their history. They need to become familiar with various legal or pharma related performance enhancing like drugs as well as many athletes that might be breaking the law. The player it seems that sports journalism needs to have an entirely new section for sports gossip. Not only do they need to be familiar with pharma, that's as well as the law, they also need to be able to do the work of a sports agent. In the modern world of sports journalism, if you cannot accurately describe an injury or a contract, you will most likely be viewed a medical journalist at the best. So dear learners, so far we have discussed about the various points in the sports journalism, do's and don'ts by the sports journalists. Now coming to focusing point, another point is how to write a curtain raiser for sports events. See, the day one of the IPL starting match, or FIFA World Cup, or Olympics, or any world champions of various sports, uh, prior to that, we see in our newspapers from prior to 2 or 3 days before that, there will be a curtain rises. Means when the score, when which teams are participating in that score or that championship or that sports event, and what are the strengths, what are the weaknesses, who are the players, what are their strengths and weakness, what are the previous history, all we see in the newspapers. And there is a one curtain riser, means about to start of the event, which is starting, for example, today. So in the today newspaper, we'll see a big up page of about the curtain raiser about the event. In case of that is a large scale event. So how to write a curtain raiser? A curtain raiser is a story on what is likely to happen and not a report on what has happened. It raises the curtain to show what is on the stage and how the drama will unfold itself. It is a news event. What is appetite? What are the followers is to uh, get that information. So they want the information about their favorite players, favorite teams, favorite games. The category is based on past events and report understands of what is likely to come on the strength of information on what had happened in the past. The events of national interest, which perhaps continue all around the year, belong to sports. Either India team is visiting a country to play a test series or a one-day series or a T20 series, or a country is coming here for the same purpose. That is also one kind of a calendar that we have to write the starting day. A World Cup tournament is going to be held this week, or Olympic Games are in the next month. We will see the newspapers, a continuous series of curtain rises appears in the newspapers. Even though in electronic media also this happens. In the electronic media, even they allotted some time for the sports. Many electronic media they allotted time of some like evenings, 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, like those time they allotted for the sports. Even though a live match completed, there is also the updates will appear on the screen on electronic media. Even on our websites of the newspapers, they are giving the live updates in the website of the newspaper. So this is the plus it is technology development. So reader or listener or viewer, they are thinking that they have to know the all details on the spot. So that is why many newspaper organizations, electronic media, everyone now they are giving live updates in their websites, in their newspaper websites, or electronic media. Coming to the content, there is no end to sports festivity. A broadcasting house remain alert the whole year to make program advertisers to cash on the immense interest these sporting activities generate. People are generally interested in knowing the records of the teams and the athletes of their interest, their liking, their fan for those team or persons. A background of the games and the future perspectives told to the sports lover through an arrangement of a curtain raiser. This is always going to generate interest among them. It is quite possible to hold an interview of an important person or the captain of the visiting team or the coach or a manager to ask questions of immediate interest pertaining to the forthcoming series. So we have to keep it in this point while interviewing with a sports person. A curtain raiser is meant to cover all possible aspects of the event and take the listeners in a position where they would be enjoying the match with more knowledge of the games and the players. Here we would like to know about some sports academies, sports agencies, sports bodies, Among them, a few like FIFA, ICC, IOC, etc. These are some sports-related bodies. So we would like to know all about all these bodies. A sports body is a sports organization that has a regulatory or a sanctioning functions. Sports governing bodies come in various forms and have a variety of regularity functions. Examples of this can include disciplinary action for violation of rules and deciding the rule changes in the sports that they govern. Sports generally should be aware the sports bodies like the FIFA, ICC, IOC, BCCI, EP, what is IPL, etc. Now coming to the one major sports body in the world, that is the Federation of International the Football Association, that is FIFA, FIFA. Because football is a wide range of sports which is covered almost all many countries compared with other games like cricket. This is an association governed by FIFA is an association governed by the Swiss law, funded in 1904 and based in Zurich. Zurich. It has 209 members associations, and its goal is enshrined in its statutes the constant improvement of football. FIFA employs among some 310 people from over 35 nations, and it is composed a Congress. Congress means here a legislative body. Executive committee means executive body, and general secretariat, that is administrative body, and committees. Committees, what they do, they assist the executive committees. Coming to another important international body is International Council, ICC. This is the global governing body for the cricket and aims to use the sports to captive and inspire people of every age, gender, background, and ability with building a bridges between the continents, countries, and communities. The ICC has 104 member national currently, 12 full members, and that they play test matches, and 92 other associate members. They on and off they participate in various ICC matches. Recently, it happened in the ICC T20 Champion World Cup. There is we witnessed a new teams. There are the associate members. The ICC is responsible for organization and governance of the cricketers, major international tournaments like World Cup, most notably the Cricket World Cup and ICC T20 World Cup, and also Champions Cup. It also appoints the umpires, referees that officiate at all sanctioned test matches, one day international and T20 internationals. ICC also gives some code of conduct which sets professional standards of discipline for international cricket, and also coordinates action against corruption and match fixing through its anti-corruption security unit. One more international body is International Olympic Committee. This is another important institution, means organization, where this organization acting as a catalyst for collaboration between all parties of the Olympic family, from National Olympic Committee, the international sports federations, the athletes, the organizing committee for the Olympic Games, to the top partners, broadcast partners, and United Nations agencies, the International Olympic Committee shepherds success through a wide range of programs and projects. We see the Olympics once it is the event performs in once in a 4 years, but there is a background of this organization who associate with the various organizations. Already we have discussed various Olympic, international Olympic committees, Olympic national level Olympic committees, and there is a committees about Olympic Games, broadcasters. So they coordinate with all these various organizations. Coming to the another important organization, that is the International Tennis Federation, that is ITF. The ITF administrators and regulates the games through over 20 affiliated national associations, together with 6 regional associations. The ITF is responsible for the rules of tennis, including the technical specification for courts and equipment and running and enforcing a giant anti-doping program. Dear students, we are now discussing about the various sports international bodies, means regulatory authorities. Now coming to discuss about the one more important association, that is International Association of Athletics Federation. In 1912, in Sweden, following the closing ceremony of the Olympic Games in the Swedish capital, the International Amateur Athletic Federation, that is AIAAF, was founded as the world governing body for the sport of a track and field athletics. We see running, some javelin throw, those are called athletes, field athletics. The IAAF was founded to fulfill the needs for a world governing authority, for a competition program, for standardized technical equipment, and for a list of official world records. All of these requirements remain today. These activities, these functions done by the International Association of Athletics Federation. There is one more important agency, that is WADA. This agency is a World Anti-Doping Agency. What will be looking in this agency? WBA was established in the year 1999 as an international independent agency, composed and funded equally by the sports movement and governments of the world. It is key activities including specific research, education, development of anti-doping capacities, and monitoring of the World Anti-Doping Code. What is this code? We document harmonizing anti-doping policy in all sports and all countries. The WADA is a Swiss private law foundation. It is seats is in Lausanne in Switzerland, and its headquarters are Montreal, Canada. It conducts random sample tests on the players to assess about the use of performance enhancing drugs by them. So these are some important agencies we need to know about all these. So far in this session, dear students, we have learned about the various international agencies and various sports, how to write a curtain riser, and what is the importance of a sports pages, how the other newspaper, all newspapers are giving priority to the sports. And one more thing is about the designing of a sports page. We see nowadays very attractive pages, a full page of a sports, a champion, or a man of the match of a cricket match or any other match. So a full landscape photo will appear in the sports page. So that kind of a new attractive designings are using in the preparation of a sports page. The principles of page design are the same what will be applied to others, be it for the sports page or any other page. The strength of the significance of the news as sub-editor draft the dummy makes enough provision for photographs so that the page comes alive with the action-filled pictures instead of looking dull or drab images. See, sometimes we see in sports, some sports pages, a live picture means that is a still picture only, but the action is looks like a live means a sports person who is beating the ball. So that kind of or football coming to the football, a player is kicking the ball. So that kind of action related photos. Once we see that action related image in a newspaper, what we feel that is a live. The reader thinks that he is viewing in his mind as a live the important player means the what is called the man of the match of that player. We see in the newspapers. So how they cover. So this is possible with the technology. So nowadays, even sub-editors, many newspapers sub-editors only they design this page also. In case this is exception for the major newspapers, for small and medium newspapers, the sub-editor only do the page design also. Yeah, dear students, so far we have discussed all these items in this session. Here I am concluding this session. So for this session, we have now almost the important units are covered in this season. Almost all 5 classes I have taken up. I taught in these 5 classes about the major important units and discussed about the major topics, subtopics in the video. Thank you, dear students, for active participation for this live sessions. Thank you very much.